Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Charlotte Canion. Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
Hi, I'm your host, Charlotte Canion, and I'm the author of the best self-help book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, How to Parent Your Parents. And I am honored this evening to be speaking with Shannon Mokry, and she is a world-renowned author of children's books. She happens to be in 13 countries. Welcome, Shannon. Thank you to the show.
Hi, Charlotte. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Tell us a little bit about your background. I'd like to know a little bit about your family, because I know that our listeners would love to hear a little bit about who you were before we dig into your books.
Well, I'm a stay-at-home mom for the last 20 years. Before that, I was a writer. I was going to school to get my creative writing degree, and I was a photographer. That's kind of my bread and butter through my years. And as I came into being a mom, I also did a lot of early childhood development study, and the two classes, the creative writing and early childhood development, for me always went hand in hand. So when I came to the point in my life where I really wanted to focus on my writing, I had the background to kind of help me with it.
How many children do you have?
You and oldest is, all three girls, and I've been homeschooling them for the past 9 years. So that's also been a fun element in my life. It's brought lots of books into our home, so I've got to delve into all different styles and art styles and writing styles, and see what works with kids and what doesn't seem to work as well, what parents like but maybe doesn't translate into what kids like. So really knee deep in the world of books for the past at least 9 years.
And do you have a certain age range, that your books fall in? I mean, is it like from young ones through high school, or, what is the age bracket?
I would say the youngest would be about 2. I started writing for my youngest daughter, Charlotte, when she was 4. And it kind of goes through to about 12. I don't really want to touch the young adult teenage years quite yet. They like to tackle topics that I'm not ready for.
Well, I have books. I've actually, gone through quite a few of them. How many books all total do you have to date?
Oh, I want to say 12. I always have to count them up on my hand.
Well, and that's more than your hand can do if we've got 10 fingers, for sure.
Exactly.
I'm going to share something with you, though. If your youngest daughter is named Charlotte, do you know what it means?
I do not.
It means noble spirit. So you need to treat her spirit nobly.
I will pass that on to her. Another fun little fact is she's actually the main character in the book we're going to be talking about.
Oh, that is so super. So that was going to be now my next question for you is, do your children influence the characters that you put in your books? Or do other people in your family influence some of the characters? And I'm not saying totally, but maybe their characteristics or something, antics that they've done.
Totally, yeah. Some to the point where I'm not going to say who, because they would not be thrilled with me. But definitely, in the series, the Bubble series was actually written to my daughter, for my daughter, to help her feel closer with family members that don't live in the same state we do. She's got a cousin that's the same age as her. And we've always tried to develop a relationship between the two of them, but it's hard when you're 3 states away and you only see each other once a year.
And especially during this coronavirus. I mean, that even makes it worse if they were going to try to come.
Right. Well, usually we go there, and he's a boy and she's a girl, so there's always been kind of just a little bit of difference in interests, and it's made it hard for her to feel close to them. And telling the stories that incorporate things that I hear my mom saying about them and personality traits that she knows about them makes her feel like she's and still part of the larger family.
Now, does she know that these are family members that you're relating to in the stories or not?
Yes, in fact, that one particular cousin, I got permission to use his name as well. So the two people are both named. The other characters in some of my other books, I actually don't name them at all. I have like the little purple porcupine and the little yellow llama. I deliberately leave them nameless so that the characters, the kids that they're being read to, can relate more fully with them. I know there's a movement within the children's book world right now to only have human characters and to give them names and to try for diversity. But I take a step back and I say, you know what? If you're showing a person and you're showing a specific look of a person, you're alienating in some ways all those who don't look like that. And all of my books are trying to bring kids in and make them feel like, yeah, if this isn't describing me, it's describing someone I know. And so I leave a lot of things very broad and open so that more children can connect to it instead of itching it down to a small group.
So basically, like an artist, you're painting with broad strokes and leaving it to the imagination of the child to fill in some of those blanks. Is that what you're?
Exactly. One of my books, specifically the Little Purple Porcupine, is written for, well, my intention was for children with autism. But as I was writing it, and the more I was writing it, I realized there are so many special needs children in the world. Mm-hmm. And if I name just one, then that is excluding all of the other parents to say, hey, my kid's a lot like that, but because you named it, my child's not connecting now. And I've given it to several parents with children of a wide range of needs, and they've like, you nailed it. And that's written it to their child instead of having written it to just the autistic children.
Well, I'm very proud of you, and thank you very much for doing that. I have 20 grandchildren, and one of my grandchildren has Asperger's. So I totally can relate to that. Now, he's 27 years old now, but, you know, he still shows some of the signs of it, but he's working, you know, they can be functioning adults. They can, you know.
Oh, totally. And he didn't have the benefits a lot of the children today have going through school, where they had special accommodations to help them work through becoming functional adults. He had to do it the hard way.
But you've written a book that kind of lets them know that they're just as normal as everyone else. And I appreciate that.
I do. I try to, I write to the children and I write to the parents, because the parents are reading the book and they're feeling all of these emotions right alongside their children. And I'm trying to reassure them, you know, hey, look, you may feel different, you may feel odd, you may feel unique. I like to think of all of them as unique. And I move all of my stories towards you're unique, you're uniquely you. And mom, it's okay. I know it's scary, I know it's overwhelming. It's okay. And when mom's okay, the kid's gonna be okay.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, Shannon, we're going to take a break here for one of our sponsors to, you know, do their thing. And we'll be right back because we've got a lot more books to cover. And she's got a great new book coming out. So come back and we're going to talk about Bubbles' Big Race.
Well, this will be a good place for us to small break and let the sponsors pop on here and do what they do. And we'll come back and we'll be moving right on into the information about who you are and why you do what you do.
Thank you very much.
I'm Rox Berkey.
And I'm Charles Brakefield. We're award-winning co-authors, Brakefield and Berkey, of the Enigma book series. There are 10 books in the series, with book number 11 planned for release in January 2020.
Each story has a central technology focus ranging from identity theft to cryptocurrency and now AI wars. These adult techno thrillers pit cyber good guys against cyber thugs across the darknet.
In our world, technology is today's weapon of choice. You can enjoy ebook format, paper, or Audible. We want your feedback.
Until the next story, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, hello there, my friends. My name is Randy James, independent voiceover producer in the Dallas, Texas area, available to write and record a 30-second commercial, much like the one you're hearing right now. It's a great way to help increase awareness and exposure to your book title. It's easy to do. Simply call me and we'll brainstorm on a few ideas, and in a few hours, I'll whip something up and send you a digital file ready to use. Remember, call or text me, Randy James, at 214-762-1942.
Welcome to IndieLector.store, an online bookstore where the discriminating reader can find award-winning books. IndieLector.store is not a big corporation, so we can give up to 80% of the sales directly to the author. Help us support them by buying a great book at IndieLector.store.
Hello, I am the author and poet Denise Bryson. I am the author of The Things That Cross My Mind, Love's Reality, both in book and audio form. I am also noted as one of the best poets of 2011. I have 2 new projects coming up. One is the Blinky series, where Blinky tells us all about our coins and our bills for our children. I also have a book coming out called Say Ye. It's quotes from Denise Bryson, just inspirational and that will help you along the way.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
Welcome back. This is Charlotte Canion, and I'm having the pleasure of speaking with Shannon Mokry. Shannon, you were talking a little bit about writing books for young kids and, letting them all know that they were special and that they were needed and they were important. And you've got a special character you were going to share with us, and I think you're writing a series about Bubbles. Tell us a little bit about Bubbles.
Bubbles is a bubble-blowing dragon. And he came about in the middle of the night when I was trying to reassure my 4-year-old so that she could go back to sleep at night. She had a very bad habit of almost every night waking up, begging me to read to her and to be with her. So I would get up and I would make up these stories. And Bubbles came from needing something fierce to protect her. So dragon, right? That's pretty easy. But wait a minute, dragons have fire, and that's a little scary. So my sensitive child, fire was a no-go. So we decided he's a bubble-blowing dragon. And that opened up a whole new world of creativity of how bubbles could actually save the day. Fire's not always needed. It's a little overrated, right? Everyone can do a fire-breathing dragon. But what can you do to save the day with a bubble-blowing dragon?
With a bubble-blowing dragon. I love it. And now you've written, is this the third of the Bubble series? And what was the first? Okay, tell us, a little bit about the first one and the second one, and then we'll dig into the third one.
So the first one was Bubbles in the Berry Bush, and that was a story teaching kids about conflict resolution and forgiveness. I'd like to think that I'm a wonderful mom, but at 3 in the morning, I might be a little bit on the ornery side. And so my thought process was, if you're going to get me out of bed and you're going to make me tell these stories, I'm going to put your brain to work. So conflict resolution and forgiveness is the perfect subject for a family with 3 children of a wide variety of ages and interests. And forgiveness, because it's not just get through this conflict and move on. It's being right in your heart with the people you're living with, and really the people in the world. So Bubbles and the Berry Bush is a story where the kids encounter fairies, and they have a series of misunderstandings, and the kids have to learn to communicate. And it's only through communicating that you can get to a place of forgiveness. And so that was Bubbles and the Berry Bush. And then we moved into the book, which is Bubbles and the Mermaid Adventure. And that one evolved from her big sisters showing her a shark documentary right before bedtime. You know, as parents, we do this silly thing like try to have date night. And when you have teenagers, they're built-in babysitters, right? Well, sometimes they need a little coaching on what's bedtime appropriate for a younger sibling. So that night, I had to diffuse her fears of sharks. And it's a story about personal responsibility. Moms and dads, we can tell our kids what's the right thing to do, and we can coach them through scenarios of what to do here and what to do there. But at the end of the day, the child has to make the decision to do the right thing. And that's what this story shows. It shows, okay, this is what happens when you don't do the right thing. You end up in a very bad situation. They were surrounded by sharks. In their case, they have a nanny bubble blowing dragon who saves the day. And I always end the story telling kids, now, unless you have a pocket bubble blowing dragon that I don't know about, you're going to have to take a little responsibility and pay attention to your surroundings.
Let me ask you this. You said that Bubbles was after one of your kids, or the characteristics he has, or?
Well, Bubbles is probably more like me.
Oh, okay. Bubbles is you.
But the two main characters, besides Bubbles, are Princess Charlotte. That's my youngest daughter.
Okay.
And Prince Bash, and that's my nephew from another state. So it's a very unique name. And we always call my daughter Princess. He's not particularly thrilled, though, to be in the book, I have to tell you. He wanted to be a superhero. But in my household, it's all about princes and princesses, so he got what he got.
Well, you could have given him a sword and a wooden sword and a shield or something, maybe.
Maybe if I come up with another book, I'll have to remember that.
And then he'll feel kind of like a hero. Well, your latest book is Bubbles and the Big Race, and it's available on Indie Lecture Store, correct?
It is, yes.
Yes. Well, tell us a little bit about how that one came about and a little bit about the characters in it.
So Bubbles and the Big Race is about good sportsmanship. You can just picture two kids the same age are going to constantly be competing, right?
Right.
Well, in my household, I have two that are 3.5 years apart and a 10-year gap between the oldest and the youngest. That does not stop the competitive edge. Let me tell you, we race everywhere. The important thing to a race, though, is setting up the rules in advance. And every time I see kids, when I'm out and about, or even with my own kids, fighting occurs, meltdowns occur, and bad sportsmanship occurs when the rules are not established at the beginning of the race.
Mm-hmm.
And so I walk them through that. And then I don't just show the kids, okay, this is two kids racing and getting into an argument. I have a baby unicorn who thinks he's hot stuff. And his friends get tired of listening to him. So they say, you know what? We're not going to race you again, and we don't want to hear it unless you race with the big kids. And of course, that does not go very well. And the poor little unicorn, she can't keep up, and she's exhausted long before the finish line. So our heroes, Princess Charlotte and Prince Bash and Bubbles, they go and they help her out. They hear her story. It reminds them, hey, I think this sounds a little bit like us. Wait a minute. And they apologize to each other, and they help their new friend get to the end of the race where she could also apologize to her friends. is it's all about relationships. So all three of my books, they kind of have that in common. You have your relationships with each other and you have your own responsibilities. And I want to not lecture kids, but show them through actions in the story, of course. So we're still dealing with words, but action words of this is what you are doing. This is what other people are doing to you. Now, how can we come together and communicate and still be friends and family and friendly?
And all your books have a moral story to it. And because you mentioned, the little purple porcupine, you've also got the sloth and the snail. Is that a moralistic story as well?
That's my newest one, the sloth and the snail. And it's dealing with not so much morals as just feeling content with what you have. We live in such a fast-paced world, and our children are used to instant gratification. But you know what? We sometimes need to slow down. And this COVID-19, I thought, was the perfect opportunity to showcase that book and say, you know what? We're kind of all being forced to slow down right now. And that's a good thing. Let's learn to appreciate the things that are around us, moving at a slower pace and reconnecting. And so the whole point of that one is just looking around and enjoying the things that are moving at the slower pace.
And that's very good right now. Now, is that book also, have you finished it and it's out, or?
It is. It's not on Indie Lector because I have not been able to stock the books that I would like here in my home to send out. But the plan is to have a stock, and as soon as I have them here to ship through Indie Lector, I will be getting those available. Until then, of course, they're on all the really big sites.
Well, Shannon, hang on. We're going to let our advertisers do their thing right now. We'll be right back, and we'll let everyone know where they can find your books and how they can get in touch with you.
Thank you for watching or listening to Indie Beacon Radio. Our sponsor, IndieLector.store, is the only bookstore that pays authors their fair share for book sales. Help authors to succeed and enjoy a great book by supporting them at IndieLector.store. Enjoy a 10% discount with coupon code SHOPPER20 at IndieLector.store. Coupon valid until December 31st, 2020. That's IndieLector.store, coupon code SHOPPER20.
The 5th Annual Authors Marketing Event. 2 days of live seminars in marketing for authors. The only organization that certifies authors in marketing. Live and free to the first 100 authors registered. Sponsored by Bubblish, empowering entrepreneurs, and Indie Lector Store, paying authors for their fair share. Head to www.2020.authorsmarketingguild.com today.
What started as a love letter to her son has become an international love letter for all parents to their children. Now you can read acclaimed author Shannon Charbonneau's story to your children. When her son was very sick, she calmed him by singing her own song to him. She turned that song into the book, My Mama Loves Me, I'm Her Little Boy. She wrote 3 more magical books for all parents and kids 6 and under. Available at Indie Lector, Amazon, and all local and national outlets.
Authors Marketing Guild is a membership-owned organization designed to help authors succeed and learn how to better market and sell themselves and their books. Join us at authorsmarketingguild.com and receive so many benefits you'll wonder why you didn't join sooner. That's authorsmarketingguild.com.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
This is Charlotte Canion, your host, and I'm speaking with Shannon Mokry. Shannon, I'm just fascinated with your books, and I'm very proud that a mother has taken the time to write books that give us the moralistic stories that help children, discern. And of course, right now during the COVID, we've all, had to slow down. I know there's people listening that, as a matter of fact, myself, I'm thinking about writing a children's book. And I have 20 grandchildren. That would be kind of nice. At least I'd have 20 readers. But can you tell us, if you were talking to someone and telling them what they need to use to inspire them to, write their stories. And, you came up with Bubbles, the bubble blowing dragon, and, the sloth and the snail, the little purple porcupine. What advice would you give a new writer that wanted to write a children's book?
So I think you need to know children. So of course you've got the 20 grandchildren, you've got that down. You'd be surprised at how many people approach me that don't have any children in their lives. I think it's really important to know kids so you know your audience, and read some of what's out there. A lot of people are afraid when they read in a genre that they want to write that their books may sound too much like this author or too much like that author. But if you aren't reading the books and taking time to really look at the books that are out there, you're not going to have a feeling for how long a book should be, what is appropriate subject matter to include, and what's really not age appropriate. So I mentioned earlier that I don't tackle the young adult genre. I stick with middle grade and younger, and that's because of knowing your audience and knowing what your audience wants. I know the young adult audience too, because I read that, and I have 2 teenagers, but they're wanting to tackle subjects that are not appropriate for my 9-year-old, for example. And I want to make sure that everything that I write, that my 9-year-old can read.
Well, Shannon, tell us how people can get in touch with you. We know that they can get your books on the Indie Lector Store. How can they reach you? If they wanted you to come read a book, I'm sure you do that in schools and libraries. Of course, we don't have schools right now. We can't do that. But they might want to reach you. Maybe you want to read virtually.
Yes, I would love to do some Zoom meetings. I have been reached out to and gone to some preschools because they're still open. All those parents who have to go to work need a place for their kids to be. They can reach me at whimsyandpurpose.com. They can reach me at Facebook. I have 2 Facebook pages. One is Whimsy and Purpose, because I like to say that I write with whimsy and purpose. And then also I have one under my author name, or my name. So it would be facebook.com, Shannon L Mokry.
Shannon L Mokry. And you want to spell that for us, because we're pronouncing it Mokry, but it's M-O-K-R-Y, correct?
Yes, so Shannon, S-H-A-N-N-O-N, the letter L, and then M-O-K-R-Y.
.com, correct?
Right. Well, at Facebook, that would be at the end. That would be my my page. I'm also on Instagram under Whimsy and Purpose. For those people who don't know, whimsy is spelled with an H. So Whimsy and Purpose Instagram, and I can't remember what I am on Twitter. I'd have to look it up. All of these social media sites, right?
Yes, there's way more than we really think we need. Well, Shannon, it has been such a pleasure. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I'm going to have to go out in the book, especially if it has my namesake in it. It has a Charlotte.
I would get a kick out of that.
I am. And I also have a princess over in, England named after me. So, it's kind of a cool name to be coming back. But this is Charlotte Canion. I'm your host. And I'd like you to remember that a rose is like a book. You can't know its beauty until you look at it. But a book is like a rose. You won't know its full beauty until it's open. This is Charlotte Canion. You stay safe and have a nice day.
Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website.
Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Charlotte Canion. Indie Beacon Radio is produced by B. Allen Bourgeois for Authors Marketing Guild LLC, copyright 2020. Voiceover by Randy James, Lydia Bello, and B. Allen Bourgeois. To be a sponsor of the show or for more information, please email us at info@authorsmarketingguild.com. To be interviewed for the show, please complete the form at radio.authorsmarketingguild.com. Music Always Rejoice by Ramcord